Welcome to part 2 of this recording about two factors that have really changed things in our country. Now there seems to be major panic in the corridors of power. Okay? Very, very major panic. Yeah? Now I want to take you back to even before we went into the elections. Yeah? There seemed to have been major panic within government circles concerning the announcement that NASA are going to have parallel tallying centers. Yeah. Now, to close observers, this was very strange because we all know that TNA at that time, the President's Party, had a tallying center in the run-up to the 2013 general election. Yes, and in this tallying center worked even through the election of that year. Yes, but there's more. We also know that this particular tallying center was used computers, and these computers were on the same servers as the IEBC servers in 2013. Yes, you remember that, I'm sure. Anyway, that's a story for another day. Yeah. So anyway, you remember there was major panic within government when Jubilee announced that they had a tallying center, and I think this is even more proof that IEBC is merely a department of government or a department of Jubilee, or a sister entity to Jubilee, because IBC also shocked everybody when they were singing really the same tune as the government. They were saying no, under no circumstances is NASA allowed to have a tallying center. Okay. Now, of course, this was not based on any law. Yeah. Let alone the example I've just given you that TNA actually had a tallying center in the 2013 elections. Okay. So it begs the question, what was the big issue with tallying centers? Okay, I will come to that in a minute. Right, now, just before the elections, there was a raid on a tallying center, a NASA tallying center in Westlands. You remember that? Okay. Now, this was a very interesting raid because it was the raid that was not there. At least the powers that be denied it. The police denied there was no raid. Yet there was a lot of physical evidence. Chairs were destroyed, wires cut, yes, computers taken away, right? Yeah. And one wonders, did ghosts take these things away, or yeah? Anyway, that passed, and at that time it shocked also NASA, but they told us they had other tallying centers. So again, confirmation there that the government was very much against tallying centers, and they were going to stop at nothing, including doing things which were outside the constitution, to ensure that no tallying center would exist. Now, these efforts did not stop there, because there was a lot of hula baloo over the press and a lot of condemnation of NASA when it was said that NASA has tallying centers outside the country, most notably in Germany and in neighboring Tanzania. Yes, there was a lot of kelele over that, a lot of maneno over that. Okay, and that was not all. Something else happened again. During the election, actually when the votes were being tallied, NASA held a press conference in a house somewhere in Kuna, and they announced that they actually had a tallying center, and they invited the press to this tallying center. Okay. Now, for starters, even as the press were entering the premises, some strange people entered the premises. Yes, and they were not the press, and they were quickly identified. And when they were pressed under pressure, they said they were policemen, and they were told that even if they were policemen, this was private property, and they were not welcome. Yes, unless there was a crime being committed, or nobody had called them, and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, a few minutes or a few moments after that, actually flying squad officers arrived at the premises, and indeed they raided this particular premises. They tried to take away material from this particular tallying center. Now, according to NASA, moments before the police had arrived, they actually managed to ferry away some vital key material, and the police did not find whatever they were looking for. At least the the flying squad did not find whatever they were looking for. Yes. Now again, after the elections, there was a very widely publicized incident where there was an attempt by people claiming to be from KRA and the police to raid the AFRICOG offices in Kileleshwa, okay, in Lavington rather, okay. Of course, this effort was thwarted by the AFRICOG lawyers. Yeah, there's actually a group of civil rights lawyers present, civil society lawyers present, and they perused and examined the so-called warrant. It was found to be fake, and the people, the police, the so-called police and KRA were kept out of the premises. Okay. Now everybody assumed that this was part of the so-called crackdown on NGOs, and right on cue, the CS Internal Security released a statement. Minutes, almost, let's say a couple of hours, less than 2 hours after that incident, and said that the ongoing crackdown on NGOs had been halted. Yes, and they were given 90 days to put the house in order, and then they would have to answer to the government over a few issues, namely tax evasion and improprieties and so on and so forth. Yeah. Now, civil society, of course, have denied this. They have said they have no issues with the government, that all their papers, all their things are in order. Okay. And one is very tempted to believe them totally, because we know since the government of Uhuruto took over, there has been a major oversight over NGOs. They have been so sensitive about NGOs. Yes. In fact, various bills have been taken to Parliament whose idea is just to crack down on NGOs. Yeah, this started a long time ago. It didn't start yesterday. Okay. So, for somebody to believe that NGOs have been operating in the country since 2013, or they've been operating in the country for even 1 month without the proper registration, is laughable. How would they do that? Yes, and yet the government has been keeping a very keen eye on NGOs. They've been operating under very difficult circumstances. That's the truth. Okay. Anyway, actually, the NGO crackdown was not the reason for the raid on AFRICOG offices, or rather the attempted raid. The reason for the attempted raid on AFRICOG was the same reason that the raid was done in the Westlands offices of NASA. Yes, it was the same reason that there was an attempted raid on the tallying center that NASA had been taking the press around in Kuna. Yes, it was exactly the same reason. Actually, I have information to the effect that actually they were looking for something. Yeah. Now this is very interesting, because the immediate question is, what could they have been looking for? Now something can happen and you don't immediately have evidence, but cumulatively you get some evidence. Let me just give you an example many Kenyans will be able to identify with. Yes, you come home and you find that there's a lot of food which has been consumed. Yes, in this age when in this day and age when unga is so expensive. Yes, you come home and you find that a lot of food has been consumed, and you only have your small child, 2-3 years old. They can't even talk. Yeah, so that they can spill the beans to you, but they're there, and the maid tells you ni mtoto alikula. Yeah, the food was all eaten by your child. Yes, and indeed when you look at your child, you see that their tummy is bulging, but you're suspicious because the amount of food that has been consumed would not fit in that small belly. Yes, lakini unameza hiyo. Yeah, you just take it in your stride because you have no evidence. Yes, but cumulatively you notice this house help of yours who came into your house when she was very she didn't have a lot of weight, she was very thin, yeah, has put on a lot of weight, too much weight. Yeah, so in the end, cumulatively you have evidence that actually you may have a good idea where this food was going. Now I know that may be a bad example, but I hope I get the point across, because house helps are supposed to be treated well. They have the right to eat, yes, but not to gorge themselves, surely. Yeah. Anyway, so what has happened here is that cumulatively we have evidence that there's something which is not just right here. Yes? Now, what could the government be looking for in all this? Now, for starters, let's look at the tallying centers issue. After the elections, it has emerged that the real issue with tallying centers was that the government did not want anybody to have any record of what was going to go down during the general elections that could be used as evidence in a court of law to dismiss the sham of an election. That's really what it was about the tallying centers, and that has emerged very, very clearly. And NASA in response seemed to have been a bit smart, because they've been playing their cards very close to their chest. Yeah, you'll notice just before they filed their case in the Supreme Court, they were just taking us around in circles. Oh, we are not going to court, we are definitely not going to court, and so on and so forth, only for them to turn up with over 25,000 documents, and definitely in a case which definitely was not prepared over the last 48 hours. Yes, yeah, meaning they were protecting the evidence, they were protecting whatever it is the government has been sending flying squad officers with big guns, yeah, to find. Yes. And if this still sounds far-fetched to you, consider this. It has now been revealed that the lawyers who are doing the final touches not actually preparing the petition, because you don't prepare a petition in 48 hours to submit to the Supreme Court. Yeah, it does not happen. Okay, even if you're Superman. Okay, anyway, it has emerged that the lawyers who are putting the final touches to the petition were harassed, and they were raided several times, well, according to them, such that they kept on moving locations, and their final location to prepare the petition was the home of Raila Odinga in Karen. Yeah, can you imagine that? So this is clear. It should be clear to everybody that really what these people are raiding, they seem to be very worried about something that NASA has. Yes. And remember, AfriCog offices, many would have suspected that that would be the place where there would be a lot of evidence, yeah, that would disprove the sham of an election we have just gone through. Bottom line, as we go into the presidential petition, unlike 2013, somebody somewhere seems to have failed to cross all their T's. Yeah, you know how you write the letter T, lakini hujaweka hiyo cross kuonesha ni T, it's just hanging there, meaning that there are certain parts of the deal which have not really been taken good care of. Yes, so they're going into this Supreme Court case not with the kind of confidence they had in 2013, but they're going to this case with a few unfinished business that could come back to haunt them. Yeah, that's really the truth. Now that should be very good news for the people of Kenya, because it seems we now have a fighting chance of being able to overturn this sham of an election. I don't even want to use the word election. This sham and theatrics and massive fraud of the Kenyan people that some people would want to call an election. Okay? It seems we have a fighting chance because somebody somewhere did not finish their homework. Okay? That is very clear. And that is why I started by saying there's panic in the corridors of power. Yes? And that's why I said in an earlier recording that the problem with 2017 is that there are too many moving parts in this plan. Yeah? Too many moving parts. And when you have many moving parts, there's something bound to go wrong. Yeah? In fact, not just one thing. You can get a situation where several things go wrong. And that's what seems to be emerging from this. Okay? Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.